The United States and the United Kingdom, also known as the UK, shared some very important news. This happened on May 8, 2025. The leaders of these two countries, President Donald J. Trump from America and Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer from the UK, announced a new plan together. They described this plan as a breakthrough. This means it was a significant and positive new step for both America and Britain. Many people were interested by this announcement. Both leaders seemed happy with the new agreement. President Trump was in his office in Washington, D.C., and Prime Minister Starmer spoke by phone from London. President Trump said the new plan was a great deal for America. He also believed that trade between countries should be fair for everyone. He felt this deal showed that idea well. President Trump had positive feelings for the UK. His mother was from Scotland, which is part of the UK. This good relationship helped the two countries to agree on the plan. The new plan was a trade deal. A trade deal is a set of rules that countries make. These rules help them buy and sell things to each other more easily. This deal aimed to make business better between America and the UK. The trade deal meant that some taxes on goods would be different. For example, America agreed to lower some taxes on products coming from the UK. This would help UK businesses sell more of their goods, like cars, in America. In return, the UK agreed to let more American goods into its country. This was especially good for American farmers. They could now sell more food like American beef to people in the UK. Prime Minister Starmer was very positive. He called it a fantastic, historic day. He said the deal would help businesses grow and create new jobs. It would also protect existing jobs. For many years, America and the UK did not have a big trade agreement like this one. After the UK left a group of European countries in 2020, an event called Brexit, it needed to make new trade plans. Talks with America had started before, but then they stopped. Recently, President Trump had put new taxes on many things coming into America from other countries. This included items from the UK. These taxes made some UK businesses worried about their sales, so people in both America and the UK were waiting. They hoped for good news and a clear plan. This new trade deal was the important announcement everyone was waiting to hear. 2. A special friendship. President Trump felt a special connection to the United Kingdom. This was not just about politics. It was personal for him. His mother was from Scotland, a part of the UK. This family tie made him feel close to Britain. Many people thought this personal feeling was important. They believed it influenced his wish for a good relationship with the UK. He often spoke about his mother's country. This connection played a role when he said he wanted to work with the British government. It was a friendly start for any new plans, like a trade deal between the two countries. This warmth was seen as a positive factor. The United States and the United Kingdom have been friends for a very long time. This friendship is often called a special relationship. It means they work together on many important things around the world. They share ideas and support each other. They have also been allies in big wars, fighting on the same side. Prime Minister Starmer reminded people of this long history. He said they were very close allies. After the UK left the European Union, this was called Brexit. Britain was looking for new trade deals with other countries. Their strong friendship with the USA was a good place to start thinking about a new trade plan, but even good friends can have small problems. These were not big fights, but they were issues that needed solutions. Recently, President Trump's government put new taxes on goods coming into America from other countries. These taxes are called tariffs. These new tariffs also affected products from the UK. This made British goods more expensive to sell in the US. Businesses in the UK started to worry a lot. They were afraid they might lose money. They also worried that people might lose their jobs. The special relationship was still there, but these new tariffs created some tension and made talks necessary. President Trump said he wanted to help the UK with these problems. He promised to make a great trade agreement with them. This showed he was serious about finding a way forward. The British government also worked to keep a good relationship with President Trump. Officials in the UK knew this was important. It was said they tried to make him happy, for example, by inviting him for special visits. They hoped this would help them get a good deal because UK industries really needed relief from the tariffs. Both countries wanted to solve the problems. Trump's promise to help was a positive sign for the UK. 3. Problems and worries. Before any new trade plan, there were difficult times for the UK. The United States government put new taxes on many goods from other countries, including the United Kingdom. This was a big change and created new problems. These taxes were called tariffs. Tariffs made it more expensive for British companies to sell their products in America. A new general tax was placed on almost all things sent to the US. This situation made many people in the UK worried about their businesses and jobs. Many UK businesses felt pressure. Car makers were very worried. They sold many cars to America. The US had a high tax, about 27% on British cars. This made them much more expensive for American buyers, challenging famous British car companies. Some companies even stopped sending cars to the US for a time. Steel makers in the UK also faced big problems. Steel is an important metal for cars and buildings. The US also put a high tax, around 25%, on steel from the UK. This made it very hard for British steel companies to sell their steel in America. These business problems meant jobs were at risk. If UK car companies sold fewer cars, they might need fewer workers. If steel factories sold less steel, they might also reduce employees. Many workers and their families were scared. They worried about losing their jobs and income. This makes it hard to pay for everyday things. The UK government gave financial help to some steel businesses to protect jobs. For example, a large steel factory received support, but people still felt very worried about what would happen next. The UK government knew this was a serious issue. These American taxes threatened important British industries. Business leaders asked the government for help. The government understood it had to act. They needed to find a way to support car and steel makers. Protecting jobs was a priority. UK leaders discussed what to do. They believed talking with the US government was essential to find a solution to these difficulties. They needed to act to prevent more harm to the economy. Across the UK, people followed the news closely. They knew about the challenges from the US taxes. They understood many British businesses were in a difficult position. Everyone hoped UK and US leaders could discuss the issues and agree. People wished for good news to reduce their worries. They wanted problems solved so businesses could do well and workers feel safe in their jobs. There was a strong hope for a solution that would be good for the UK and its people. 4. Talking and planning. Leaders from the United States and the United Kingdom started to talk. They knew they needed a plan to solve the trade problems. Many important people from both countries met. These meetings were not short. They were long and needed a lot of work. The talks were intensive. This means they worked very hard and focused a lot. It was not easy for the US and the UK to agree on all points. Both sides had things they wanted. Sometimes what one side wanted was difficult for the other side. They had to discuss many details carefully. One of the biggest things they talked about was cars. British car makers wanted to sell more cars to the US without paying very high taxes. Steel was another big topic. The UK makes steel, and they wanted to sell it to the US with lower taxes too. Food was also important in the discussions. The US has many farmers. These farmers wanted to sell more of their food, like beef and a fuel called ethanol, to the UK. However, the UK was careful. It said that any food coming into the country must meet British food safety rules. This was an important point for them. To make a plan, both countries had to compromise. This means each side agreed to give up something to get something else they wanted. The people negotiating worked very hard, sometimes late into the night, to find solutions. They decided not to make a very big, complete deal all at once. Instead, they agreed on a smaller package that focused on specific areas. This means they looked at the most urgent problems first, like cars and steel, which needed help quickly. The UK agreed to allow more US farm products into its market. This was something the US wanted. In return, the US agreed to lower its taxes on a certain number of British cars. It also agreed to remove the taxes on British steel and aluminum. This was very good news for UK businesses in those areas. Some things were not included in this first plan. For example, they did not make new rules for medicines or for big American technology companies. The leaders said they would talk about these other issues in the future. People like the British ambassador to the US helped a lot during the talks. He even made an important phone call at the last minute to help the agreement succeed. President Trump also liked Britain, and this positive feeling may have helped the discussions move forward. Finally, after all the talking and planning, they found a way. They created a plan that both sides accepted for now. It was a start to fixing the trade problems between the two countries. 5. The big news. On May 8, 2025, there was big news. President Donald J. Trump from the USA and Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer from the UK shared a new trade agreement. They made the announcement together. President Trump was in the Oval Office in Washington. Prime Minister Starmer joined by phone from London. Both leaders said this deal was very important for their countries. President Trump said it was a great deal for America. He also said that being fair to each other is very important in trade between countries. Prime Minister Starmer called it a fantastic, historic day. He believed the deal would help businesses trade more. He also thought it would create new jobs and keep old jobs safe in the UK. The new agreement meant some big changes. The United States agreed to lower some of its taxes on things from the UK. For example, the tax on British cars sent to the US became smaller. For the first 100,000 UK cars each year, the US tax will now be 10%. Before, this tax was much higher, at 27.5%. If the UK sends more cars than this number, the tax on those extra cars will be 25%. Also, the US will stop its 25% tax on steel and aluminum from the UK. This was good news for British companies that make these metals. In return, the UK agreed to make changes too. The UK will allow more farm goods from the US into its market. This includes things like US beef and ethanol, which is a type of fuel made from plants. American farmers will be able to sell more of their products in the UK. For beef, the UK will allow 13,000 metric tons of US beef with no tax. The US will give the same chance for UK beef. However, the UK said that its food safety rules will not change. This means that US food products must meet British safety rules before they can be sold in the UK. For example, hormone-treated beef or chlorinated chicken from the US cannot be sold if they do not meet UK rules. This new deal covered many important things, but not everything. Some problems were left for more talks in the future. For example, the agreement did not change any US taxes on medicines from other countries. President Trump had talked about new taxes on medicines before, but this deal did not include them. Also, a disagreement about a UK tax on big American technology companies was not solved. The UK and US decided to talk about digital trade separately. Other ideas, like a 100% tax on foreign films, were also not part of this agreement. Leaders said they would continue to discuss these other topics. 6. Happy people, unhappy people. The news about the new trade plan between America and the UK made many people react. Some were very happy, but others were not sure. In the UK, people in the car and steel industries were very pleased. The plan meant lower taxes when they sent their cars and steel to America. This was great news because it could save thousands of jobs. It meant factories could stay open and workers could keep their positions. For example, the tax on many UK cars sold in the US would go down a lot. For many cars, it changed from a high rate to just 10%. This was very important for big car companies. UK steel could also go to the US without any tax, helping steel makers. American farmers also celebrated. A large group for cow farmers called it a tremendous win. For years, it was hard for them to sell much beef in the UK, so this was a big change. They could now sell much more US beef. Farmers who produce ethanol, a fuel made from plants like corn, were also happy. Their ethanol could now enter the UK market more easily and without extra taxes. US companies that make airplane engines and other parts for airplanes also saw benefits from the new rules. However, not everyone was happy. Some big American car companies, like Ford and GM, were worried. A group representing them said the deal was not fair. They explained that UK car companies now paid lower taxes to sell cars in the US. This was lower than some American cars made in nearby countries like Mexico or Canada. They thought this could hurt American car businesses and their workers. They wanted all car companies to be treated the same way. In the UK, some people also had concerns. While some UK farmers were happy about selling more beef to the US, others worried. They thought that too much cheap American ethanol coming into the UK might be a problem for British farmers. Some important business groups, like the Confederation of British Industry, said the deal was helpful. But they also said it was only a partial agreement. This was because an important U.S. tax of 10% on many other goods from the UK did not change. So, while some things were better, many products still faced this tax. They thought it was a good first step, but more needed to be done. Another business group also felt disappointed that these other taxes stayed the same. They hoped leaders would continue to talk and make more parts of the deal better. Many people agreed that the deal was a start, but not a complete solution. Some experts said it was a partial deal, not a comprehensive one. They believed it was a good step to help certain industries, but many things were still left to discuss. It showed that the two countries could work together, but it also showed that making everyone happy with a trade deal is very difficult. So the deal brought cheers from some and questions from others. 7. What it means for money. This new trade plan is important for money in both the USA and the UK. It means businesses in both countries can buy and sell more things to each other. The US government said this deal gives American companies new ways to sell their products. It could mean $5 billion more in sales for US businesses. The U.S. government also thinks it will collect about $6 billion each year from taxes on goods coming into the country. This is because even with some taxes lowered, many goods will still have a tax. U.S. farmers will see big changes. They can now sell much more food to people in the UK. This includes things like American beef and a fuel called ethanol, which is made from corn. The UK has agreed to buy 13,000 tons of US beef each year without extra taxes. This is the first time a special amount like this has been set for US beef. Also, the UK will allow up to 1.4 billion liters of US ethanol to come in without taxes. This is a lot more than they bought last year. The person in charge of farming in the US said this will greatly increase beef sales. For UK businesses, especially those making cars and steel, this deal is good news. UK car companies can send 100,000 cars to the US each year with a lower tax. The tax will be 10%, down from 27.5%. This will help them sell more cars. Also, the US will remove all its extra taxes on steel and aluminum from the UK. These products will be duty-free, meaning no special tax. The UK Prime Minister said this will help save many jobs in these areas. Companies like Rolls-Royce, which make engines for airplanes, will also pay no tax to send their engines to the US. One UK airline even plans to buy $10 billion of new planes from the US company Boeing. When the deal was announced, people who invest money were pleased. In New York, the value of many big companies went up on the stock market. For example, the price of shares in airline companies like Delta went up by more than 7%. This was because they might pay less for airplane engines. The British pound also became a little stronger compared to the US dollar. In London, the main stock market also went up. This showed that investors felt the deal would be good for business and help ease worries about trade problems. Both the US and the UK hope this agreement will help their economies grow. More trade can lead to more jobs and more money for everyone. While some US taxes on UK goods will continue, the new opportunities for selling products are important. The deal is expected to help American farmers, US plane makers, and UK car and steel companies. Both countries believe this is a step towards making more money together. 8. What happens next? This new trade agreement is an important first step for the United States and the United Kingdom. However, it is not the end of the story for their trade relationship. There is still much more work that needs to be done. Leaders from both countries have said that this deal is only a beginning. President Trump and Prime Minister Starmer understand that more discussions are necessary. A British official, Lord Peter Mandelson, who helped with the talks, said that this deal was the end just of the beginning. This means that while this part is finished, there are many more subjects for them to discuss and agree on in the future. The leaders and their teams will continue to meet. They have plans to talk about other trade rules and issues. An important topic will be the general 10% tax that still applies to many goods coming into the US. Both countries want to see if these taxes can be reduced further. They also need to discuss other areas not in this first agreement. These areas include digital trade, which involves businesses that operate online. They will also talk about services, such as banking and travel. Other important subjects, like rules for medicines or taxes on big tech companies, were left out of this deal. These topics will be part of future talks. Also, the final details of the current agreement still need to be carefully written down in the next few weeks. Many people and businesses are now watching closely to see what happens next with this agreement. They hope that the plan will really help companies and workers in both America and the UK. Businesses in the UK, especially car makers and steel producers, are feeling more positive because some big taxes on their goods are lower. US farmers are also hopeful about selling more food to the UK. If the deal works as planned, it could lead to more jobs and more money for both nations. It might also make the special friendship between the US and the UK stronger. People will watch to see if the deal truly brings all the good things that leaders promised. Experts will study how the deal affects trade and the economy. This trade agreement shows that when there are problems, countries can find solutions if they work together. The United States and the United Kingdom have a long history as friends. This new deal is another example of how they can support each other's economies. Both governments want to continue their discussions. Their aim is to make trade between them easier and fairer. The success of this current agreement is very important. It could show other countries how the US wants to make trade deals. President Trump suggested this deal could be a model for talks with other nations. If this deal does not bring the good results people hope for, it might make future talks harder. So, everyone hopes this plan will help both sides. What other things do you think the US and UK could agree on in the future?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.